And lately, there's definitely been a ton of voter suppression in states all over the country, in Texas, in California. There's been long lines. There's been a lot of problems, and it's been very much benefiting Joe Biden. And Joe Biden has some serious issues. Personally, I don't think Bernie Sanders should keep calling him his friend, but he's trying to be nice and fair here and talk about policy, and that's what he's been doing. And it's been working with the CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC. I should say ABC Disney. We need somebody who's willing to create accountability for these organizations, these so-called news organizations, and that means that they have to report, and hold certain standards. So if they're found to be withholding information because they don't like what it says, or to be outright misleading or lying to the public and knowingly doing so, and we can prove that, they should be fined, and they should potentially be told from for a year to 3 years they can't report media or any kind of anything besides entertainment. They can't report any news, and they can't work for an organization that reports news. We definitely need all hands on deck here. The climate crisis is only going to increase these problems as permafrost melts. I've been talking about this for a long time. You're going to have an influx of diseases that we don't know how to deal with that could break out, and it can be, like the coronavirus, as bad. They might be as bad. Could easily be worse. So we have a serious thing, and we need to make sure people all around the world have ways to keep clean and sanitary and clean their hands and stop the spreads of these diseases in the future. And we need to find these diseases in nature and solve these diseases and work and get ahead of the game so they don't spread in the future. We need funding, and we don't need an incompetent administration. Donald Trump has bundled this. Even if you're a Trump supporter, come on, you cannot deny this is insane. Saying it's a conspiracy by the Democrats is absurd. Not extending sick leave to all employees federally, not extending unemployment to anybody who was working and is now out of work, whether they're a server or restaurant worker, a contractor, an independent contractor, driving for Uber, babysitting. This is serious. This is going to, and if we don't act now and have a large, massive infusion of capital into the economy, we're going to keep spreading the disease. People need to get food, okay? We need to keep the contact minimal. People should not be going out to their grocery stores and buying huge amounts of goods. It's causing a crisis. It's driving the cost of the goods up. It's putting more people at risk because you're not distant from them. They were talking about this on the news before, some health professionals. You can't do this. We need to be sensible. We need to buy, enough food to hold us over for a while, a few weeks or whatever, a couple of weeks. We need to help each other out as neighbors. Hey, you're sick, you're worried about it? Give somebody some peanut butter, put it on a plastic bag, call them next door, send a text, say, can you please borrow some peanut butter? Or you need anything? Oh yeah, I could use some eggs. Oh, we got plenty of eggs. I'll put some eggs on the front porch. You're really worried and you want to be extra safe? Rinse that stuff all off before you use it. Just be extra safe. It doesn't mean anything bad about your family or friends, but they could have come in contact with something that can get you sick. And maybe it's not even the coronavirus, but it might put your immune system under more threat, and it'd be easier to get the coronavirus. So climate change is a huge issue, and Donald Trump has slashed the EPA, slashed all kinds of regulations that were beneficial and the vast majority of Americans fought for and want. And it keeps us safe, it keeps our water safe, it keeps our air clean. Pollution and all these things only add to these problems and are exacerbated, and they hurt people's health. We need to put forth social democratic policies, and we need to take this seriously and not argue and debate and say we don't have enough money. This is an economic misnomer. We have plenty of money. Japan prints 3 times more money than we do, and they have a far better and more equal society. We have an economic inequality crisis that we need to address now. It shouldn't matter if you're poor, working class, if you're out of work because of the coronavirus, because you're sick, because you're taking care of other sick people, because there's many reasons that this is going to have a huge impact on our society. In a very negative way, bars around me in New Jersey are closing at 10 o'clock at night. Is just one example. They're canceling Broadway shows in New York. They already did. They're canceling all kinds of sporting events all across the country. They canceled Louisiana's primary, and I believe he said Puerto Rico, and I'm sorry, forgive me, in another state that are supposed to be voting in the Democratic National, the Democratic National Committee 2020 primary, the DNC 2020 primary, the Democratic Party primary of 2020. However you want to phrase these things, they're all the same thing. But Bernie Sanders is a competent, serious man with a lot of experience in government, and he knows how to handle crises. He listens to scientists and the people that have, like in the past, eradicated these kinds of diseases and what it took. And this is going to be one of the most deadly and dangerous diseases. And if we don't take it seriously, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. We need to implement Wheels on Wheels. We need to fund. We need more people working and helping people out. They have to have protections to feel safe. We need to make sure anybody, especially people that are helping out and working and making sure people get food, water, other supplies, medicines, Band-Aids, gauze, all these things. We need to produce these things. We need to change our economy. We need to fix our economic system. We need to fix the crisis we have in our economic system of most people living paycheck to paycheck. There's a lot of people out there, and even if you got money, you can't turn a blind eye to the fact that these people can get us all infected. It can all get us sick and get us, cause us to all die. It could be your son's tutor. It could be somebody who cleans your house. I mean, there's some people that have their house cleaned not only because they're busy, but also maybe because, quite frankly, they have health issues or they have pain and they can't vacuum and they can't do certain things. They can't get up on a ladder. Or they can't dust, or there's going to be a lot of changes here, and we're going to have to come together as a society, but we have to do it safe, and Bernie Sanders is the only one providing real answers. All right, what the Democratic Party did initially was okay, but it wasn't good enough, not far good enough. It was kind of we need way more, and Bernie Sanders was talking about that, and that's why we need to get out and vote. And the youth, you guys are way less susceptible to having, as long as you don't have health issues, you need to get out and vote for Bernie Sanders. We need to volunteer for Bernie Sanders. They closed down all of their campaign structure, and they're not knocking on doors anymore. Well, we need to make phone calls, send text messages, and use social media to make sure people stay engaged, especially the youth. We have not had the numbers we want. There's been suppression. There's been obstructionism. We need to fight. This is not me, us, as he says. And what we need to do is come together and fight. It's a political revolution. It wasn't going to be easy when you have all of these media conglomerates owned by a few companies, and MSNBC, CNN, ABC, Disney, Bloomberg, all these giant media conglomerates that control the conversation. I mean, look at the numbers. Bernie Sanders was slated to win the worst case scenario, like 8 of the primaries on Super Tuesday 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, and he lost. And Joe Biden had no staff, no ground game, and no money in almost all of these states. He never set foot in Maine. The exit polls don't match in Maine, Massachusetts, or he never set foot in Massachusetts. Biden got an extra 60,000 plus votes. Warren and Sanders got negative 97,000, and that was just in Massachusetts on Super Tuesday. This mini Super Tuesday, I'm having a strong feeling there's already signs of voter suppression and people being unready. But we need to get out there and wait in lines. We need to protest. We need to demand that our vote counts. And this is a crucial time in history. And we need history, as Bernie Sanders said, to look back at us and say we did the right thing and we did the best we could to stop the prevention of a disease that is a global pandemic. The United States of America is the richest country in the world. Do you really want to argue over whether or not people have masks and whether or not we should take over a factory or 2 or 5 or 10 or whatever need be to make sure our people are safe and we make products here and they're made well and that they're not using exploitative labor, and that they're paying people fairly, and these people every precaution is being taken, that they are safe, that they don't contract the virus, and if they do, or they think they do, and there's some symptoms, that they are tested. At point of entry, there was no charge. There's no charge for treatment. That's what they want to do right now. That's what's might pass in the Senate. They don't want to do barely anything, these Republicans in the Senate. And the Trump administration was stonewalling, even the moderate and corporate and right-wing or conservative Democrats, including people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. We need a way more concerted effort. Please go back and watch Bernie Sanders. He came on live at 1 p.m. on Thursday and talked about the coronavirus. Very, very serious, very important thing to watch. It's only about like 23 or 24 to 30 minutes tops. You got to watch it. It's very important. Watch this, share it. Let people, this is no time to joke, all right? History has proven that if we don't make a massive infusion into our economy, take over things, take over factories, not all of them, but enough to do what we need to do, and help out small and medium businesses and even help out corporations, large corporations. Those large corporations have to make sure that you can get tested, and they will cover the cost to make sure you are safe. They can't force you, and they need to extend unemployment benefits. The federal government needs to. We need to work together at the federal level, the state level, county level, local level. We all need to be in this, all hands on deck. We need to pay attention. Bernie Sanders is going to be doing all kinds of live events, and he's going to be doing more of these fireside chats in the style of one of our greatest presidents, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, or FDR. All right, now, He helped create the biggest middle class with left-wing socialist or social democratic policies. All right, we've always had socialism, but as Martin Luther King said, we have socialism for the rich and rugged individualism for the poor. We need to switch that or even the playing field by a large degree. This is absurd, the level of income inequality. A lot of people are going to be hurting, and it's going to crush the economy. So the only way to keep the economy going and keep this country running and get through this and minimize the damage and the cost is to spend money, because the cost will be way more money than we're going to spend making sure everybody can get tested, making sure everybody has health care, making sure everybody's getting food, making sure everybody has money, and making sure we take care of each other. So this is an all-out effort. Get out there and vote in all the states, in Ohio, in Florida, in Arizona, and forgive me, there's one more. I apologize. There's so much going on. I'm sorry for the late video. This is very serious to me. I've been reflecting and talking to friends. There's a lot going on. Obviously, people are working from home, family, friends. They're afraid to go out. And some people like me and my friends are having trouble getting certain goods because people are buying way too much and getting crazy. Look, it only takes, I believe, about 2 weeks, you have the virus. You don't need to buy food forever because you're hurting other people, and it's costing everybody more because we're having trouble producing these goods. We should already be making the goods that we're having trouble producing right here in the United States of America. So make phone calls for Bernie. Sign up on his website. He needs to make calls tonight. I'm going to be doing that after I do a few things. I'm gonna make at least an hour tonight. I'm gonna call the states that are having their primaries. Join in, get involved, share these fireside chats with Bernie that keep coming out. Share live updates about the coronavirus from Bernie Sanders, and listen to his policies. Historically, we need to address income inequality, and in order to stop the spread of disease, we need everybody to be taken care of, or else this disease will never die. And we need to find a cure as soon as possible. It's going to take a lot of funding, but we can print money, and we can keep our economy afloat, and then build an economy, a very strong one, with these policies. And this is not a manipulation, because I believe in these policies and know that historically they have proven to work, and like every society that has used them, the more progressive and the more common sense, like humane policies, we need to do this to stop the spread of this virus. So don't forget, that includes making sure Bernie Sanders wins the presidency. These other two guys are clowns. They got mental issues. They're not all there. They've been caught lying so many times. It's just disturbing. I'm not going to get into all that in this video. I got to wrap it up, but please share this video, talk about this, and soon enough I'm going to have some live streams, and we're going to be able to interact. I'm going to have more devices. I really could use some Patreon support, so please consider becoming a member on patreon.com. Just give $1, whatever you can. I have multiple tiers on patreon.com, and I will be more than happy to produce a ton of content. I really need to get some money to fix a few bugs and pay some people to help out. I'm doing tons of research. I'm spending a lot of time on this. Forgive me for not having videos. There's plenty more evidence of voter suppression and irregularities in the Democratic primary election, but all that means is we need to win big. They want to cheat, and Biden still can barely win, then Bernie still win in states, and we need to show bigger numbers. So Gen Z, millennials, Gen X, but everybody who get out and vote, but everybody who realizes the severity and the uncertainty of this time. There's one thing for certain, and that's that this is an uncertain time. So we need to get out there and show our support, and the youth, as much as you support Bernie in such huge numbers. And we had every demographic in Nevada, so it seems a little fishy. After a couple of big corporate, well-funded Democrats drop out of the race and support Joe Biden, that with no infrastructure and no field offices and nobody knocking on doors and making phone calls and no money in his campaign, that he would win so well. So there's some evidence to show all over, in Texas and in Los Angeles, there was a bunch of missing drives with like 7,000 votes, and they still have to tally those. And it seems like all the states that Bernie Sanders is winning are somehow coming up with the vote the next day, or even longer than that, or way later, compared to all the ones that they announced the second the polls closed for Joe Biden, and the narrative on CNN and MSNBC, for the very least, if not many other corporate media stations, ABC, all that stuff I mentioned before, CBS, just a nightmare, just a joke. So look to alternative media, pay attention to Bernie Sanders has an amazing infrastructure online, and has a great network, and people are really getting involved. So let's stay safe. Let's do what we can when we're safe, and we can be safe and get on the streets and help Bernie Sanders in any way his campaign asks. Or let's volunteer. Let's apply for jobs for Bernie Sanders. Let's do everything we can, because nobody else has a solution to this problem. and they're not addressing all the many issues that could cause economic collapse, that could cause more further environmental devastation, which is a feedback loop. And the more we don't address climate change, and again, Bernie Sanders is the only person with a sufficient climate change plan by far. He's got like a $16.3 trillion plan. That might sound like a lot of money, but don't worry. The federal government can print money. We got plenty of it, and we need to create 20 million clean jobs and union jobs and well-paying jobs that'll help boost the economy. They'll have money. They'll spend more money on goods, more money on services, more money so more people can have jobs. We need people to stick together. We need corporations to come forward. You're putting everybody at risk if you don't allow your workers to stay home sick and get paid. And 2 weeks isn't enough. We need more. We need to pressure the Trump administration. We need to pressure corporate and corrupt and so-called moderate Democrats. We need to fight for sensibility, logic, and proven policy measures that will help us in a crisis. And we need Bernie Sanders' plan. So check out, again, just in case you forgot, check out his speech that he gave Thursday, I believe it was around 1 o'clock, about the coronavirus and what we need to do and what we're not doing and what Joe Biden is not saying we should do and what Trump is not saying. The many things both of them are not implementing, and what the Republicans in the Senate are blocking is absurd. This is no joke. We need to start rolling out. We need much more to make sure we're all safe. So thanks for tuning in to Punk Rock Politics. Again, I'm John Smith with Punk Rock Politics. My great aunt made this recently, unfortunately. Sold her house and moved into fairly nearby a condo, an apartment thing. I think it was a retirement community. Anyway, you might not be able to see that. It says the Smiths. She was very good with woodwork, probably still is, a little harder nowadays for her. But anyway, I love her, and I just thought I'd throw that in there and explain that little piece of memorabilia in the background there. Again, I'm going to be working to get some live chats up. I'm going to be working as much as I can to make this a very professional channel. The information is legitimate. I know what I'm talking about. I've studied political science and history, both traditionally and non-traditionally, for a long time. I've been active in politics. I've done internships for multiple environmental organizations. I've volunteered for a long time for an environmental organization. I have donated my time to do stuff like help clean up the beach after Sandy, and I want to do more of that. I'm volunteering for Bernie Sanders. I do everything I can to make sure we get the best result, and Bernie Sanders is your best chance to have a voice in the White House, for somebody to say, come on, teachers, stand up and tell them these wages are not enough. Come on, students, tell them you want to get rid of your student debt, because it's not me. It's not me. Not him. It's us. It's all of us. And we need to get out in the streets and show that we have the numbers. And we have the numbers. We want these policies. The bottom 80% of our government, technically that's true statement. We are the government. The people are the government, or they're supposed to be. And we need to fight back if they're taking too much power, and they've taken way too much power, and they don't listen to what we want. And what we want is logical, and is what we need. And we have a healthcare crisis. We have an opioid crisis. We have a global pandemic in the coronavirus. We have issues of income inequality, of not having enough benefits or any benefits, healthcare benefits. We're understaffed doctors, and don't forget about people like Bernie mentioned in rural areas or in small distant areas that aren't by city centers or by bigger suburbs. These people don't have hospitals, and if they don't have healthcare, they're not going to even go to the doctor when they're sick, and they're going to spread the disease all over the country. All over their area. This is not good. We need to address this. We need serious, immediate relief for all of our wage workers, for our gig workers, for contractors, for government employees, for teachers, for, everybody. People that make your steps, people that take down trees. We need to help out medium and small businesses. We need to help out workers. We need to make sure people have food and care. We need to start producing the things we need in this country, and we need to and it'll prove how effective and how much money we save when the government sensibly gets involved in a fair manner and helps the people. It's how we built the biggest middle class, through the Green, we need the Green New Deal, but through the New Deal by FDR, which is what he's modeling his Fireside Chat after, with massive infusion into the economy for minorities, for people of, so people of color and all that, from immigrants, for people that were struggling, working class, poor, everybody. We need to help Everybody get on their feet, stay together, stay healthy. We need people eating healthy so they stay healthier, so they hopefully don't contract the coronavirus or can fight it off. We need to worry about our elderly relatives, neighbors. We need to keep a distance from people. We need to wash our hands a lot. We need hand sanitizer when we're out in public and can't wash our hands. We need to make it easier for people to wash hands. We need to come together as a community. Let people use the bathroom and wash hands when they need to be. We need to keep them clean. We need to keep the money flowing, and we need to keep industry flowing. And we need the government to help. This is too much of an undertaking, and these policies will help the American people as long as we demand to be implemented and not abused by the Trump administration or anybody else. And they won't be, because this is so serious. Everybody's scared, and we need to take this seriously. So it's time for the Trump administration to step up. It's time for Republicans in the Senate to step up. It's time for people to call, email, send letters, etc. Live chat, do whatever they can to call these people out on Twitter at Nancy Pelosi, or at Speaker of the House, or SPKR of the House, or whatever she is. At Chuck Schumer, at Senator Sanders. Sanders is doing the most he can, but give him some ideas, ask him some questions, put information out there about how his plan is the best, to handle this crisis, and get out there and take action, and not literally get out there. In some places you can't get out. It's too dangerous with the spread of coronavirus. It's hit too hard, and the health officials and everybody are telling you to stay inside. Then do stuff from home. Use your tablet, use your cell phone, use your laptop, use your computer. If it's safe where you are, you can go to the library and use these things. If you don't have those services, please just chip in however you can. We do have very vulnerable populations out there, and not only is it wrong that for so long they have suffered and they have not been given free health care and assistance, just like the rest of us. We all deserve to walk into a doctor and be able to go to any doctor we want and not have to worry about it. It gets more efficient. It saves us a ton of money. There's more than 22 studies out there now that say that the most recent study from Yale and two other colleges, a ton of research done, very scientific, very factual, very logical, no politics involved. We need Medicare for all. It saves $450 billion to the U.S. taxpayer, and it saves 68,000 lives a year as of now, and that number is going to rise, especially with something like the coronavirus. So get out there, volunteer. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscribe button. Go to the top and hit all, or double click, depending on the app or the computer you're using. But make sure it's either all, or you get those little almost like parentheses around it. So you make sure you get my updates for my new videos. I do apologize for the little gap I had in my videos, but that will there's a lot of kinks to work out. There's a lot of things to download. There's a lot of space to be used, a lot of data. This is a learning curve, and thank you for sticking with me, and I'm figuring everything out. I can't wait to get the live chats up. I can't wait to directly have live feeds pop up on the screen and not have to do all these fancy tricks that take forever and have me starting late. I really appreciate you sticking by me. I hope this video comes out great. I hope the timing from recording it on the tablet and the delay from the phone and mirroring it onto my television all link up. If not, it's very important to listen to what Bernie Sanders is saying, and the feed is only the way his mouth is moving, maybe only slightly off from what he's saying, but it's very close, and it gets the point across. Thank you for joining Punk Rock Politics. Like, subscribe, share, get involved, talk about these things, be safe out there, and demand that we have what we need to fight this virus. Let's not play politics. Let's look at who has the best policies and the best ideas to keep us all safe, and it's just indisputable. Trust me, look it up yourself, please. I implore you, do a bunch of research. Don't just look at two organizations. Don't just look at ABC, NBC, or Fox, or MSNBC, or CNN. Look at what the professionals are saying. Look at what the doctors are saying. We have the internet. It's a great tool. See, a lot of people are working from home, or are losing their jobs, or can't work. Please, spread the information out there. Tune in for Bernie's Fireside Chats, or look to Punk Rock Politics on Patreon.com or YouTube to start seeing, me live chat these things, and so you can get your input in and hopefully become a patron. I'm making a lot of progress. It's a lot more work than I thought. I'm doing it all by myself. I really need some donations, hopefully. I'll do it no matter what. I'll never stop doing this, but hopefully, I can get some donations and get all the equipment I need and really make it easier and have some help from other people, be able to employ some people to help me figure out all the kinks and get this thing running very smoothly, or I can do a minimal of 2 videos a day, a maximum of 10 when important things happen, and important things are happening. But I did take a break, and it wasn't just because I couldn't make videos. It was because there was, I have people dealing with different issues, and the coronavirus is obviously throwing a monkey wrench into a lot of things. I thought deeply about what I'm going to say, and it's that we need to get out and vote for Bernie Sanders. We need to volunteer for Bernie Sanders. Consider becoming a lead, a head volunteer. There was earlier on at 5:30 they had a live a live volunteer training video that I had joined. As you heard before, over 100,000 people were watching this, and this is only going to grow. So, we need to spread the message. We need to stay informed, and we need to fight for what's going to save us and keep us safe, not just for the coronavirus, but the future viruses that are going to be just as bad or worse in a lot of cases if we don't do something and fund the EPA and fund scientists and fund research through NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. We need to fund our government so they could do their job. We can't cut the CDC. We like Donald Trump did, which is the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. We can't cut, our HHS, Health and Human Services, another branch of the federal government that we need in the White House, the executive branch that we need deeply to make sure that these things never become issues. And he fired many people, like 10 top 10 people, cut the funding, where people don't have supplies, they're not doing enough research, they don't have the tools they need to work on curing these diseases before they break out and transform and are able to be infected with humans, or before they become a big problem. We need to stop the spread of these things sooner, and the climate crisis is only exacerbating and making these things worse, far worse. That we need to tackle a lot of issues, and Bernie Sanders is the only candidate, at least for the coronavirus. So let's use his policies to stop the coronavirus. If somehow you don't realize that he's the most honest candidate, when Joe Biden has lied consistently, when he plagiarizes for years, he's been stealing speeches, he's not giving credit to Robert Kennedy, JFK, or John Fitzgerald Kennedy. He stole some speeches from, he had to resign, I think, from the 1984 presidential campaign. South Carolina was the first presidential primary Joe Biden has ever won, and he has ran for president a lot of times, and he has had to drop out because of his horrible record, his just many lies throughout the years. And Bernie Sanders is people-powered. He's only taking money from working-class people, and he's taking money from the people. So those are who the people he's responsible to. He is not taking any money from corporations or billionaires, and when they try to give him money, if it's a billionaire, even if it's only $450, he gives it back. This is a fact. He's got the most donations, the most volunteers. He's got definitely the most donations ever in presidential history, U.S. presidential history, the largest number of money raised. Wait, maybe not. That's true, but by individual contributions, definitely. And Bernie Sanders is just killing in every metric. And don't let the media tell you that Bernie Sanders is not electable. He's far more electable than Donald Trump. He has far better numbers and has for the last 5 years. Look it up. He is the best to beat Trump in many battleground states, Pennsylvania and many others. He is either tied or beating Trump, or Biden is tied or losing to Trump, and so are all the other candidates before this, by the way. Bernie Sanders is the most popular U.S. senator in the country for a reason. Please do all you can to make sure Bernie Sanders wins, and he wins big, so they can't steal this election. Share this, please, people. This coronavirus is very serious. So is all of the voter suppression going on, and all of the issues with voting all over the country. We need to show up in big numbers. The youth needs to get out there. Gen Z, Millennials, Generation X, get out there and vote. Volunteer, make phone calls, talk to people. And the older people that are safe, and in the states where it's recommended that it's okay to go out as long as they're cautious, go out. Everybody be cautious. Wash your hands. If you have Purell, use it. Hopefully people will give you a squirt. You don't even have to touch it, and help each other out, but try to keep your distance as much as you can. But we cannot have Bernie Sanders lose this election because nobody goes out and votes. And the youth and people without health problems are we have a much better immune system to either not get the disease or to easily fight it off much more easily than others, and make sure we're not worried about dying. All right, so the youth needs to get out and vote, and we need to tell the people in power who we want to be the commander-in-chief, and Bernie Sanders clearly is acting like the commander-in-chief and showing you what a competent commander-in-chief will do, and it's not what Joe Biden and it's not what Donald Trump will do or have done in the past. As vice president with Joe Biden as in senator, horrible record. Look it up. The guy's lied so many times. He's a plagiarist. He steals people's words and speeches. He's dishonest, and quite frankly, we have to say he seems to be losing his mental faculties, and that's obvious even when they try to hide it. He's only doing 6 or 7 minute speeches. The DNC has fought for the speech when Bernie Sanders' campaign was upset, rightfully so, as when in 2016 Bernie Sanders debated Hillary Clinton. They were right next to each other on podiums. Now they want Joe Biden to sit down. Watch debates tomorrow night. There's a debate tomorrow night at 8 o'clock on CNN. Bernie Sanders, 2 hours against Joe Biden. Watch it. Let everybody know what's happening. Share it. Get out there. Make phone calls. Pay attention. look to alternative and independent media. Look to channels like the Rational National, the Humanist Report, the Secular Talk, and for a little comedy and some serious issues as well. Maybe shows like the Jimmy Dore Show. Look to Redacted Tonight. Check out Lee Camp, who broke one of the, or helped break one of the stories after it came out, is the exit polls, and the voter suppression and the issues with the people voting in the Democratic primary and how much of a mess it's been, and all these different, caveats and nuances to why there's seems to be intentional voter suppression, and it seems to be very much among blacks, Latinos, and the youth vote, who vote overwhelmingly for Bernie Sanders. So let's get out there and don't listen to the media lies that Bernie Sanders can't win and he's not the most electable, and don't listen to old Red Scare politics that happened back in the 50s and really destroyed this country in a lot of ways and hurt and hindered a lot of our progress. All right, Eisenhower, after FDR, after Franklin Delano Roosevelt had like 3.5 terms as president and enacted all these New Deal policies, and Truman came in and extended them for the New Deal, and Eisenhower, who at the time was a Republican, and this was a time where Republicans and Democrats had a lot in common and agreed, and they were far more moderate, meaning far more to the left than they are now, and Eisenhower was offered to run for both parties. He had a 91% tax on the wealthy and corporations, and this gave us the world's biggest middle class to ever exist by every metric. It gave us the United States middle class, and we have watched that just get gutted since the late 70s, into today, and something needs to change. And this virus is showing us how vulnerable we are and how systemic our problems are, and that they cross all across different levels of government and different private entities and corporations. We need far more regulation and laws to protect the working people, not the top 1% or not the top 10%, either way. But the 1% is the real problem, and we need our money back, because these things would not run without us and without our efforts, without all of our hard work. And we get most people get severely underpaid, don't get good health insurance. They don't really have a choice for their health insurance. That's an industry's talking point. Don't listen to these big wealthy companies trying to affect our election and saying crazy stuff about Medicare for all. Don't listen to all the lies. Don't listen to all these Joe Biden supporters and their super PACs. Realize who is paying for these things and what they're telling you and what the organization is about. It might say something with the word progress in it. Oftentimes it's a neoliberal or even a conservative institution, and it's not a progressive institution. There's a lot of tricky words to a lot of organizations out there. So we need to do our due diligence as people that believe in democracy, do our homework, and get out there and tell everybody what's going on and fight for our right to have a competent, honest president with a history since like 1979 of getting things done, of working with Republicans, of working with Democrats, of pressuring both parties and the elites in the media and all over government, that these policies like Medicare for all, like a Green New Deal, paid sick leave, maternity leave, along with medical Medicare for all. You have people, the elderly being taken care of, the sick being taken care of. Look at what this coronavirus is showing you. We are massively underprepared for all kinds of scenarios, and we have the opioid epidemic. People need help, and we need to give it to them. And Bernie Sanders is the only one offering a sensible policy prescription to help us from this coronavirus. Thank you very much for joining Punk Rock Politics. Have a great day. Have a great night. Have a nice Saturday. Thanks very much, everybody. Take care.